Well, Sham.
About 2-3 years ago, when we visit somebody, we used to say Assalamu alaikum, and when we go out, we say Khudafis. But now we say Assalamu alaikum when we visit somebody, and Assalamu alaikum when we go out. So why has it changed when we go out?
It is not a change, previously it was a change. This is the right thing now. Assalamu alaikum is both for when you enter and when you go out, when you exit. So Khuda Hafiz is an Urdu way of wishing someone well. In the Arabic version of Khuda Hafiz is Fi Amanillah, in the protection of Allah. So some people say in the protection of Allah when they leave. So it's not forbidden, but the normal way is Assalamu alaikum even when you come or you go out, it's one and the same thing for both. Please.
If an English boy, your friend, asks you to come to a birthday party, are you allowed to go to it?
Pardon?
If an English boy
Yes.
gives you an invitation to come to a party.
You can go there, no harm.
No, if there's music and that's fine.
If they do what?
If there's music.
Well, this is an age, you can't escape music. It's impossible. In the streets, everywhere, in hotels, music all around. How can you avoid listening to music?
Can I ask you another question?
Yes, you can.
Someone has told me that in the Quran it says that you mustn't call people nicknames.
That's right.
Because if someone's got a nickname, like their name's Adnan and they've got a nickname called Papu.
That is not what is said in the Holy Quran. That is what is said is Tanabazu bil alqab means to distort other people's names by way of derision, just to mock at them or to belittle them, to insult them, to hurt them in any manner. For all these wrong intentions, to call somebody with a different name than he has, that is called La Tanabazu bil Alqab. But out of love, if you call somebody a Papu or anything else, this is not what the Holy Quran means.
Because he said any sort of name.
Pardon?
Any sort of nickname.
Any sort of nickname.
No, nickname is not used in the Holy Quran at all. The word nickname is an English version. The Holy Quran only says La Tanabazu bil Alqab, which means what I have just told you, to distort somebody's name against his wishes, to hurt him in any way. That is Tanabazu bil Alqab. It is not just nickname which Allah prohibits. So, yes please. So Muhammad Abdul Rashid is feeling very impatient now, huh? Yes please.
Huzur, would you kindly tell us who is your favorite poet in Urdu language? And whoever it is, would you tell us why?
As far as the favorite poet is concerned, that you can hear in my khutbahs or my addresses, most often than not, it is Ghalib which whom I quote. So obviously he is my favorite poet. And why? Because for every situation you find an appropriate verse of Ghalib to apply. He is a universal poet in the sense that he speaks on every situation and beautifully depicts in what you want to say. for that particular situation. So he has better words than you could think of. That is what he says himself, about himself. देखना तकरीर की लज्जत के जो उसने कहा, मैंने ये जाना कि गोया ये भी मेरे दिल में है. Look at the beauty of the expression, that whatever he said, I thought it was already in my heart. So that is where he analyzes himself. This is the most fitting tribute to his poetry. So now, Chaudhry Muhammad Abdur Rashid Sahib, now you can occupy the floor. Yes, please.
I have two questions in mind.
To begin with.
One has three parts and one has one part.
Beautiful. One has three parts and one has one part. And each part is further divided into... Yes.
That's what I want to say.
Yes, yes.
So in Surah Yasin, sir, Allah Ta'ala has said 7 times Mubin. They use the word Mubin. Imam Mubin, Gulab Mubin, Zilalul Mubin. And I got all the ayat with me if you want.
Please continue, yes.
You see, I want to know if you could kindly explain the meaning, true meaning of the word, and why is used so often in one surah, the way Allah Ta'ala has intended. Allah says, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْسَنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ
Kulla Shain.
وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْسَنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Shall I carry on there?
Yes, yes, yes.
وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ إِنِّي إِذًا لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ لَا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانَ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ قُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ أَلَمْ يَرَى الْإِنسَانَ أَوَلَمْ يَرَى الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. And then إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ قُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ.
ذِكْرٌ
قُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ. وَقُرْآنٌ
مُبِينٌ.
Could you kindly explain
What?
the meaning of Mubin?
Mubin is something which is evident, which is apparent, which has no secret about it, which is clear and which is clarifying. So in each situation where it is used, it has the same connotation. When it is used about Zalal, it means manifest error, which is apparent. One does not have to investigate whether that is wrong or right. So any error which is obvious and self-evident, that is called Mubin. Amamim Mubin means a path which is apparent, which you do not have to search for. It's just open before you. It's for you, for the taking. So that sort of meaning is imparted by the word Mubin to the situation where it is used. Have I made myself Mubin or not yet?
Yes,
Oh, thank you. Yes, please.
That
That was the first part?
No, well, that I'll come back again. I'm not ready yet. Yes, I have a question there, which is not really.
Quite, yes.
This is, I was reading yesterday, Sifara chapter 20th, and Allah Ta'ala has said in that about Hazrat Moses, that he went to get the fire. But
He went to what?
He went to get Chingari, fire.
Yes, yes.
And he found Allah Ta'ala. And,
Instead.
Instead.
Yes.
Well, you can say, you led me to it, sir.
Yes, yes.
I didn't mean instead. Anyway, this was, it's very beautifully said in the way it is said in the Holy Quran.
Thank you.
And then comparison is with Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He goes to Ghar Hijr. And
Hira.
And then
Hira.
Ghar Hira. And Allah Ta'ala starts giving him the first lesson in the Holy Quran.
Yes.
Ikra bi-ismi rabbika allazi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq. My question is, sir, could you kindly give us the background of these two incidences? Number one. Number two is it true, sir, when any surat was revealed, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was part of it? And number three, sir, when
The second.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was taken as a part of the surah, whichever was revealed. Number three, sir, when Allah Ta'ala revealed this verse, He didn't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is that a special reason? I wonder if you could explain these three, please.
3 or 4? You have lost count, in fact. The first two verses applicable to different situations. So there are two. The first.
But you got the question.
Pardon?
I hope you got my question.
Questions, you mean?
Yes, sir.
The situation which you say has so beautifully been described in the Holy Quran is again self-evident. You know what the situation is. So what are you asking about? The fact is that Hazrat Musa saw a light, flickering of lights. He was in need of fire. He thought it was somebody's fire kindling over the mountain. So he went for that material fire. But instead what he saw was a sign of Allah, and instead of getting the material fire, he got the light of Allah instead. So this is the ways of Allah as depicted in the Holy Quran, that people go or deserve small things, but Allah bestows upon them much larger than they desire or what they want or what they deserve. So these are the ways of Allah. Moses went for a smaller thing as compared to what he got. So even if you strive very little in the path of Allah, His reward is out of all proportion to your striving and labor. That is the significance of this incident.
Was he prepared to accept what was going to be given to him, sir?
He did accept it. He did accept it, didn't he?
He did, yeah, but it was a big surprise for him, you see.
So what? So it was a surprise for Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What then? I mean, what is the question?
The question is, I want to know the background.
You see, what the point is, that this is a sign of the truths of the prophets, that they don't intentionally seek prophethood. They never, in their innocence, they never believe or never aspire for such a thing. They are so humble in nature. They have no design. So both these incidents tell us that whatever was bestowed upon Moses, or whatever was bestowed upon Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, was not out of their desire or design, because their natural reaction was that of extreme surprise. They were not prepared at all for what they were given. So that shows the inner thinking of the prophets, that they are completely innocent of that responsibility which is ultimately thrown upon them, without any desire in the least. So when the people turn to them and say, you have concocted things, you want to become a big man and this and that, all that is belied by their first reactions. What is the second question? Second part of the first question? Or third one perhaps? Yes. Unless I've got it. The fact is that the first verse which was to be revealed was to a mind who was not prepared to receive. So he had to be prepared. This is why the first words spoken to him were Iqra. Speak. Read. recite, all these things are covered by word Iqra. So he hesitated. So if say somebody had said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to him, he would not know whether he is expected to repeat the words or not. So first of all, as a first lesson, instead of saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it was said Iqra, Bismi Rabbika allazi khalaq. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is replaced again by Bismi Rabbika allazi khalaq. You recite in the name of that being who has created. So you are bound to follow him, you are bound to accept his orders, that sort of thing is imperative. And the reason of that order is also mentioned in this Bismi Rabbika allazi khalaq. Because he is your creator, so you have to obey, whether you like it or not. So when this was revealed, then Bismillah of this surah came later on to be placed before this. In order of revelation, it is not necessary that in order of revelation, whichever precedes must precede. It is neither necessary about the surahs nor about the verses. There are verses revealed afterwards which were put in order before those verses, which were revealed later on. Which were revealed earlier. Those verses which were revealed earlier, precedence was given over them in many instances to the verses which were revealed later in time. So the surahs which were revealed earlier put much behind in order of the arrangement of the Holy Quran. For instance, the last surah, this very surah, is in the last chapter of the last part of the Holy Quran, while it is the first surah. So that arrangement of the Holy Quran has nothing to do with the chronology of its revelation. The arrangement was made under instructions from Hazrat Jibreel. Allah instructed him to help Huzur Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam organize the Holy Quran in its permanent position. So the order of revelation was different. It was to meet the requirements of that time. But the permanent order of the Holy Quran was designed to be different, which was to stay forever. So this is why there are differences between revelation, the time of revelation, and the placing of that verse or surah. Before your second question, I should like this boy again to this young boy.
So are Muslims allowed to be cremated when they die?
Cremated, it's correct.
Are Muslims allowed to be cremated when they die?
No, this is not the practice in Islam. They are expected to be buried.
If someone wanted, instead of
from the Holy Quran and from the tradition of Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his practice, all that we know is that the Muslims should be buried. Nowhere in the remotest there is a mention that any Muslim was ever cremated, or in the Holy Quran there is no mention of other prophets who got cremated or who permitted their followers to be cremated after death. So that is against the practice of Islam.
So why do Hindus believe to be cremated?
Because they are not Muslims. They follow their own religion, their own customs.
Since you have been asked about the Bismillah, I would like to know that when the Imam is reciting or leading the prayer bil jahr. So he does not say Bismillah, and since it is a part of every surah, why we do not recite Bismillah bil jahr?
This is a practice which has come down to us through generations. That which is obvious and understood, sometimes it is said quietly, taken for granted. So that is in fact, it's not a disrespect to Bismillah. In fact, it's a way of respect to Bismillah. That is of course it is for granted. This is there. But some people do say it, recite Bismillah with loudly. For instance, Shafis, they believe in reciting Bismillah loudly, and they do, and there is no objection. Either way, it's okay. Please.
Please come.
Pan, Kalam Sahib wanted to say something?
After that,
Achha, if there is an after.
A question about these muqatta'at in the Holy Quran. The way they were revealed, sir, they have Alif Lam Ra. This is what we mean by Alif Lam Mim. These were, how were they interpreted and translated later on? These short words which Allah Ta'ala has used from time to time. In Surah Qaf, Qaf means Qadir, Allah Ta'ala is Qadir, And would you kindly explain how these came up? And
you better read Tafsir Kabir. In the first very opening chapter of Surah Baqarah, there is one part of Muqatta'at called Alif Lam Mim. So on that, Hazrat Muslim Maud has written a very satisfying article, very detailed article, and it would take quite some time to explain all that. So you better read that. Right?
Is there any special significance in the spring season during the earlier part or throughout the history of Ahmadiyyat? Even in our lifetime, we've seen many manifest signs of Allah happening in the spring season. And Hazrat Masih Maud also has said, "Fir bahar aayi."
खुदा की बात फिर पूरी हुई, फिर बाहर आई तो आए ज़लज़ला सल्ज के आने के दिन. Allah can show signs in any time of the year, any season, but this Bahar has special significance for Ahmadiyyat, because I think that it is significant in the context of Ahmadiyyat's position vis-a-vis the earlier part of Islam. When there is a fall after the full bloom of vegetation, the first bloom and the first upsurge, there comes a fall and people lose hope. And then when the spring comes, it brings new hope. Although the trees are the same, the flora has not changed. Same are the grass and the branches and the trees, everything. So Allah wants to signify by this that it is not a new garden. It is the same garden of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which has seen a sad season of fall. So a new hope will be brought to them through the spring of Ahmadiyyat. That, as I understand, is the significance. So that is a very important season of the year. So when signs are shown particularly in that season, that again proves that Ahmadiyyat is really like spring to Islam. Because those signs which appear in the spring, they support Ahmadiyyat and they're in signs in favor of Ahmadiyyat. So it is further proved that it's a good omen for the rest of the people, the rest of the world. Yes, please.
Although something is bothering me for quite a considerable time.
How long?
It is maybe about 6 months or a year. It's a very fundamental question regarding Allah. So far I understand Allah is for every human being, for every religion. Whatever I have gone through the history, Islamic history or other history, I find that most of the wars, battles, cruelty, things of that kind have been committed on the name of Allah, on the name of religion. And now, at this stage even, same in one religion, Roman Catholic, Protestant, Sunni, Shia, and latest we are experiencing as and the cruelty is being done on the name of Islam against enemies. If we all belong to Allah, if we all worship, maybe in different ways, different procedures, customs, as a human being, as a religion, why all this cruelty is, even at this age, being committed against the name of Allah?
In the name of Allah. First of all, kindly rectify your concept of history. I don't know where you picked up this idea that according to the history of man as such, religion has been the most important factor in perpetration of cruelties. This is not correct. Most of the wars in the history of man have never been fought in the name of religion. They have been fought for secular reasons, for political reasons, or for any other reasons, that is overtly. And sometimes they are fought covertly. That is, the true reason is not revealed, but a reason is attributed to those wars. The wars have always been secular. And most of the wars I am talking about. And sometimes they say, like the British used to say, that they are fighting for the sake of peace, while the other party is fighting for the sake of war. But some party is fighting for the sake of peace. In the name of peace, a war is fought. So, in a good name, sometimes a war can be fought justifiably or unjustifiably. Maybe it is just the purported intent and not the real intent. So people have been attributing the reason for fighting wrongly and unjustifiably to religion, as they have been attributing it to peace. So those people who fight in the name of religion, it should not be, they should not be given the license that whatever they claim, that should be accepted. Why should that claim be accepted? Unless they justify the war with religious argument. This is exactly what the Holy Quran tells us. The Holy Quran tells us that even those wars, I mean, they are limited, much limited in number than the rest of the wars. As I have told you, the order of preference would be order of and I mean, if you look at it from the point of view of numbers, in that order, the largest, biggest, widest wars were not fought in the name of religion. So to say that always the cruelty has been perpetrated upon another in the name of religion, it is wrong in the first place. Secondly come those wars which were political in nature but were fought in the name of religion erroneously. It was claimed that for the sake of religion, but it was not for the sake of religion at all. It was for some other reasons. And there the initiators of those wars were not religious people. They were irreligious. And the wars were waged against the religious people who were in minority and who were totally innocent. So the religion was not the cause of the war. The religion was made the object of war. The religion was made an object of cruelty. It was not a perpetrator of cruelty. It is quite the other way around. So go to the sources of religion anywhere in the world. This exactly is the situation. Whenever a prophet comes, he does not preach war. The war is preached against him. And that war is not justified by any religion of even that time. That war has political reasons. They begin to see that a new order is going to overtake us. The old order is going to be destroyed because they see that inherent power and potential in that prophet who is going to destroy the old order, and a new revolution is going to take place. So for fear of that revolution, for fear of demolishing of their own edifices of superstitions and other things through which they rule the common man, that fear is responsible. Out of that fear, they wage a war in the name of religion, while their own religion does not permit them to wage a war. So that is also out of question. When a religion is persecuted and after a certain limit and transgression, the followers of that religion are permitted to defend themselves, who can say that this is a way of committing cruelty against mankind? It is those against whom atrocities were committed who are permitted after a very long time of patience and perseverance to fend for themselves. And when they do, when the worldly people begin to point out, look here, this is the war in the name of religion, so religion should be condemned. So if you analyze the history correctly in its true perspective, this question falls on its own. It has no strength in it. Yes? Yes, please. You're a newcomer. Who are you, by the way? Huh? Well, go there and then introduce yourself. Samar Ahmed Khalid? Samar Ahmed Khalid. And you are son of? Who is your father? हाँ? फारूक साहब कहाँ हैं वहाँ बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ? Is he here? हाँ सनौरी साहब हैं, हाँ ठीक है. All right, now I've got you. Okay.
I'd like to ask, did Jesus have any brothers or sisters?
क्या कहता है?
Jesus had brothers and sisters.
Yes, he had brothers that I know of. I don't know of any sister of Jesus, but I know he had many brothers, but not from the same mother, of course. But they had a father and Jesus had no father. So they were half brothers. Mary married Joseph, and from Joseph she also gave birth to many children. They were half brothers to Jesus, peace be upon him.
पता नहीं मुझे बस याद नहीं. इसको Musa de Kaunehi, Ya Bani Israel, Iskuru Ni'matullahi alaykum. إذا جاءكم أنبياء وجاءكم ملوك. The first portion which
ये है कि आवे साहब, do you remember this verse?
The first portion is the Anbiya.
हाँ वो तो है, लेकिन when you don't remember it, don't recite it, just tell me the meaning.
The meaning is that when he asked to his people,
When he
said, remember that Lord has blessed you with the prophethood and the king, he was raised among you the kingdom.
Right.
The first portion I understand, what we read, it is I think it referred to it to the Bani Israel. And the Moses who is referring. So who were the kings?
Kings in Bani Israel?
Yes, before Moses. Of course it's Bani Israel, well it's the Moses is referring to Bani Israel, I think.
No, Bani Israel
Yes.
covers the entire Israelites up to the time and even beyond Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. So all the kings are referred to here.
I think it's the Moses who is referring to the people. It's Moses who is referring to the people.
What?
Let's remember when God blessed you with the prophethood. And
First, open the chapter and then after being sure, let them correct. Yes, please. One sound.
Sir, is there a prayer in for promoting Arabs in Tabligh? Anyway, promoting Arabs in Tabligh.
Haven't I recited such verses so many times? Even prayer, which you recite during Tabligh.
To make your Tabligh more effective.
The prayers of Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam bear special reference to these situations. There are some others as well. So, Rabbi Shrali Sadri wa Yassir li Amri wal Uqdatam min Lisani Yafqahu Qawli. That is one of those prayers. ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قوم الظالمين ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قوم الفاسقين and وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. All these are the prayers applicable to the situation of jihad, which is primarily tabligh, and secondarily if you are compelled to raise sword in defense, that also becomes jihad. But the first and initial meaning of jihad is to preach to others. Please.
This question concerns fasting. Very recently, one of the non-Muslims raised this objection to fasting, that since we have to fast from about 4 in the morning to about 9:30 in the evening, that's about 80 hours long. And he thought, medically speaking, our kidneys need water regularly during the day, and this long fast could damage our kidneys. Could you throw some light on the subject, please?
I think our kidneys are as good as their kidneys. So the practice of fasting, even during the hot summers of some areas where Muslims are found more in population, that proves that this is just an allegation, false allegation. Kidneys can take a lot of rough and tough. And moreover, when you begin to drink like a camel after the breaking the fast, the kidneys are so flushed heavily, that I think it is more than offset the disadvantages, So or shall we say the prayer now, Adhan keh dein phir?